What is up, you guys? In today's video, I'm gonna give you my top 3 time management strategies for woodworking business owners. Let's dive in. All right, well, welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, welcome. If you're listening to this on the podcast, we're so glad that you're here. If you are listening to this on the podcast, I might encourage you to go check out the YouTube channel on this video because you're gonna find that we're actually writing on a whiteboard right now, and there's some visual elements of this that might really help you out. So I wanna dive in today into the top time management strategies that help me scale my business without burning out. And I see this happen time and time again, especially even inside of the Woodworking Business Accelerator program, where guys are going from being a one-man team to starting to try to scale their operations. It's a challenge. And so how do you increase all this activity inside your business without just burning yourself out as you go? And so I want to talk to you really around time management and what's going to help you focus on what matters most, okay? So we're going to start with number 1, and that is the idea of the Pareto Principle. The Pareto Principle states that 20% of your efforts are going to generate 80% of your results. So let's just imagine for a moment that you have a pie. Okay, here's the center of the pie, and this pie represents all of the things that you do. You know, so let's say, for example, 3/4 of the pie is working in the shop. And then you've got a little bit of admin, and then you got some sales and marketing. Let's say 70% is shop work, 10% is admin, and then let's say that 20% is sales and marketing. Branding kind of falls inside the same category. All of these things are important, right? It's important that you do the admin work. It's important that you stay organized. It's important that you get the work done in the shop. If you don't get the work done in the shop, right, you can't get stuff out the door, you can't make money. And it's important that you focus on sales and marketing and branding so that you can get more sales in the front end of your business. But if we really break down this principle where it says 20% of the things that you do are going to generate 80% of the results, what I did and the way that I scaled my business was that when I started, I was doing all these things. And then what I found out was that I really sucked at admin work. Okay, I really wasn't good at it. I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't good at it, and it sucked the life out of me. It wore me out. I didn't like doing it, okay? So the very first thing that I did to start growing was beginning to focus more on sales and marketing. Why would I do that? Why would I focus more on sales and marketing? Because the more revenue that you have in your business equals less you have to do. Now, you may say, Zach, that doesn't make any sense. More revenue equals less that you have to do. Why? Because when you don't make any money, you can't afford to hire anybody. When I was broke and I didn't make any money, I could not afford to hire anybody to help me accomplish anything. I had to do it all myself. So the single greatest way to get off of the hamster wheel, so to speak, of wearing yourself out is to make more money. And how are you gonna make more money? Do you make more money by focusing all your time in the shop? No, you don't make more money by focusing all your time in the shop. Now, it's important, you do make money in the shop, but the way that you make more money is focusing on the sales and marketing aspect of your business. And so by increasing sales, the very first thing I was able to do was hire somebody to handle my admin. And guess what? They liked to do it. They were good at it. They were better than me, and they did it for less than I was paying myself. So admin work. Now, shop work. If we look at our shop work, now here's your pie chart of all your shop work that you do. You've got glue ups, you've got sanding, you've got table bases, and you got finishing. Well, I guess sanding kind of falls under finishing. So you can do the same thing, apply the Pareto Principle to your shop. Okay, out of all these things, what do I need to be doing and what do I need to be hiring for? Sanding, I classify as a low quality activity. That doesn't mean that it's not super important, doesn't mean that it doesn't have to be done well, but it takes a lot of time. It just takes a lot of time to sand stuff, and it's a lot of time that you could be spending doing something more valuable. So this is where your first hire needs to be, sanding or assembly. Or if you have somebody that's just a bad mamma jamma with all things woodworking, bring them in part-time so that you can focus more time again on sales and marketing. Pareto Principle, time management strategies. A lot of you guys are focusing all of your time inside of your shop, and you will never scale your business when you're always in your shop. You have to become a business owner. If you are a woodworker that hates business, you will never make more money as a woodworking business owner. You have to become a business owner, and that is by applying the Pareto Principle and scaling your operations and focusing on what's most important. Now, a great resource, I talk about this a lot, is the book, The E-Myth. It's actually The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. Honestly, probably my favorite business book of all time because it gave me the framework to start applying the Pareto Principle to my life and to my business. Guys, I ran a $900,000 a year business while not working there. Like I ran a $900,000 a year business while being a full-time pastor. I did that through really understanding time management strategies in the Paro Principle, okay? So that's number one. Now, number two, second strategy for increasing your time management, this concept of no downtime. You probably already have an idea of what you think that is, but the idea is that we batch out our work in a way that when you put a tabletop on clamps and it's being glued up, we don't just go sit on our thumbs for 4 to 6 hours while it's being glued up, but we find something else to work on. When we're applying finish and we're waiting for it to dry, we find something else to work on. So I really like to kind of create this cycle, if you will. Let's imagine that this is an entire order here, and then this is an entire order here, and then this is an entire order here, kind of a chain of processes here. So as I'm working on this order and as I'm getting to the end of it, right here is where I'm doing the finish work for this order. And I'm waiting for stuff to dry. It's also when I'm gluing stuff up for this order right here. So we got an order here, order there, and order here. Where this overlaps is where stuff is getting finished on this order, and it's where glue ups are happening on this front order. It's a really great time to when you would normally have a lot of downtime to be picking up and starting your next order. And again, as we come to the end of this order, you got finish work here for this order, and then you have glue ups for this order. So we're always intertwining our order flow to make sure that we don't ever have any downtime, okay? Also, another way to look at this is, let's say that this is the tabletop, this is the base, and these are the chairs. We don't want all three of these things to get to finishing at the same time. What I did in my business is I would always get chairs to finishing first. So chairs, tabletop. What I would do is I would have chairs that would get to finishing first, and then I would have the base that would get to finishing next, and then I would do the tabletop last inside of finishing. If all these things hit finishing at the same time, you're not gonna have enough space to spray or to apply all your finishes. And then when you get it all done, you're gonna be sitting there twiddling your thumbs. And so you need to figure out a way that you can have something being finished while you're building something else. And then when it's getting finished, you're building something else. And also that rolls into your next order. So next order. So that's the idea of no downtime, okay? Hopefully that helps. The last thing that really helped me from a time management standpoint is to ask myself this question: there's gotta be a better way to do this. Now, I know this may sound silly, this may sound simplified, but the concept of really thinking there's gotta be a better way to accomplish this. Guys, you might be doing something right now that is taking you, let's say 3, 4, 5 hours that you could do in an hour if you just knew a better way. So when it comes to sanding, we're gonna go from palm sanders from Lowe's, that's the worst way, to belt sanders, like handheld belt sanders. It speeds up the process, kind of a sloppy finish in my opinion, unless you're good with a belt sander. I'm not that great. Then you go to like rotary sanders. This is like the Bosch 6-inch rotary sander, the Festool rotary gear-driven sanders. And then you go to like a wide belt sander. When I'm here and I'm doing this totally stinks. There's gotta be a better way. There is a better way. When I'm there's gotta be a better way. There's gotta be a better way. A lot of times the better way is to not have to sand much at all. Instead of buying your lumber raw from the mill, start getting it milled at the sawmill. Start getting it surfaced. Start getting it where they're sending it to you and it's already planed. So all you gotta do is basically take down your seams, remove any glue, hit the whole thing pretty quickly. There's gotta be a better way. That question is gonna help you find solutions to get more out of your time. What I want you to understand, guys, when you're spending your time on something, you aren't just losing the time that you're spending on that thing. You're losing the opportunity cost to be spending your time on something else. So let's say this is your time. This is how much total time you have. And if you're devoting it to, let's say, I'm gonna make it to where 80% is shop, 20% sales and marketing. If I'm spending this 80% on the shop, that means that I only have that much time. Me and you have the same 24 hours in a day, right? You have the same amount of time that I do. You may have other commitments than me. You may have less or more commitments than me, but ultimately we have 24 hours in a day. So if I'm spending 80% of my working time in the shop, that means that I can only devote 20% to sales and marketing. Now, as I figure out ways to get more efficient, as I figure out this no downtime principle, as I figure out there's gotta be a better way principle, what I might find is that I can accomplish the same amount of work inside of my time off of only having to spend, let's just say 65% of my time in the shop. That means that now I get to spend 15% more on sales and marketing, which means that this, as we already know from the Paro Principle that I talked about, is where I generate new revenue. So by understanding this and getting more efficient, you can start shifting where you're spending your time to the most valuable things, okay? So just to recap, Paro Principle, 20% of what you do is gonna generate 80% of your results. No downtime. We want to create this chain in our processes where right here is where we normally have downtime, and we're picking up something else when we would normally have that downtime. And then this concept of there's gotta be a better way. A great example is palm sanders to belt sanders to rotary sanders to wide belt sanders, okay? But this is only one portion of what you do. There's 1,000 other things that you can apply this principle to. There's gotta be a better way. Your finishes, if you're applying polyurethane finishes that take 8 hours to dry, you can switch to a spray lacquer finish that dries in 40 minutes, okay? These are some of the things that we work you through inside of the Woodworking Business Accelerator program. So if you are watching this, you're trying to grow your woodworking business, you're looking for some help, a couple resources for you. Number one, I've got a completely free book in the description below. It's called the Handmade Business Secrets ebook, and it's about 100 pages long. It's gonna really help you. It's completely free to you. Go check that out. Second thing is if you're looking for a low-cost source of some good education that's gonna help you progress in your business, be sure to check out the Handmade Hero Academy program. And then lastly is if you are ready to scale, you're really ready to hone in on some of this stuff and take your business to the next level. Maybe you're ready to move out of your garage and move into a commercial space, or maybe you're ready to quit your job and go full-time, or maybe you're ready to hire that first employee and quit carrying all the burden of getting all the shop work done, whatever that thing might be for you, but you're ready to scale. Be sure to check out the Woodworking Business Accelerator program. We're currently working with over 30 clients all across North America, and we would love to work with you as well. So with that being said, guys, hopefully this helped. If it did, be sure to like, subscribe, leave me a comment below. But with that being said, we'll see you in the next one.